What if one of the most talked about detox oils doesn't detox anything at all, yet still has real, measurable biological effects? Castor oil has been used for thousands of years across multiple cultures, but longevity alone has never been proof of effectiveness. Many ancient remedies survived simply because they were available, not because they worked. What makes castor oil different and still worthy of scientific attention is not tradition, but chemistry. Nearly 90% of castor oil is composed of a single fatty acid, ricinoleic acid. This unusually high concentration is rare among plant oils, and it gives castor oil biological properties that cannot be assumed from other oils. Ricinoleic acid has a molecular structure that allows it to interact with measurable physiological systems, including prostaglandin signaling pathways, smooth muscle tissue, and the lipid architecture of the skin barrier. These interactions are not theoretical. They exist in domains biology can observe, test, and quantify. That does not mean they guarantee dramatic outcomes, but it does mean they are real. This episode is not about miracle cures or ancient wisdom rediscovered. It is about precision, about identifying where evidence actually exists, where it clearly stops, and how far biology can realistically carry a simple molecule before claims turn into mythology. Castor oil is often promoted as a natural alternative to anti-aging treatments, but this is where science requires restraint. Castor oil does not stimulate collagen production in the way retinoids or prescription dermatological agents do. That claim does not hold up under controlled study, and repeating it only blurs the line between biology and marketing. What castor oil does reliably do is support the skin's outer barrier. It functions as a strong, occlusive, and a humectant-adjacent agent, forming a dense lipid layer that slows transepidermal water loss. By reducing evaporation and stabilizing the lipid matrix of the stratum corneum, it helps the skin retain moisture more effectively. This improved hydration can temporarily make skin appear smoother, fuller, and more resilient. Fine lines may look softer, not because aging has been reversed, but because dehydrated skin exaggerates texture. When water balance is restored, appearance changes follow. That distinction matters because hydration improves how skin looks, while collagen determines how skin ages. Confusing the two leads to false expectations, not better skin. Ricinoleic acid has shown measurable anti-inflammatory activity in laboratory models and in a small number of human studies. These findings do not suggest a powerful therapeutic effect, but they do point to a consistent biological signal that deserves careful interpretation. The key lies in how this molecule interacts with inflammatory pathways, rather than how strongly it suppresses them. The proposed mechanism involves modulation of prostaglandin, signaling the same family of chemical messengers involved in pain, swelling, and tissue irritation. This is conceptually similar to how non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs work, but the magnitude is dramatically lower. Ricinoleic acid does not block inflammation aggressively. It nudges it. This helps explain why topical castor oil may reduce localized discomfort in joints or soft tissue without creating numbness, heat, or sensory disruption. The effect, when present, is subtle and localized. It is not masking pain. It is slightly altering the chemical conversation within the tissue. Castor oil, in this context, is not a treatment. It is a mild biological signal modifier, and that distinction defines both its potential and its limits. Castor oil has a long and well-documented history as an oral stimulant laxative. When ingested, it clearly increases intestinal motility through prostaglandin-mediated smooth muscle contraction. Topical application, however, operates under very different biological constraints, and that distinction is essential. There is limited evidence suggesting that applying castor oil to the abdominal surface may influence visceral smooth muscle tone indirectly. The proposed explanation involves localized prostaglandin signaling and mild sensory input to underlying tissues. If such an effect occurs, it appears to be subtle, variable between individuals, and highly dependent on context. Importantly, this response is neither predictable nor strong enough to replace medical management of constipation or gastrointestinal disorders. At best, it may offer mild support in specific cases. At worst, it does nothing at all. Claims of overnight gut detox ignore basic human physiology. The colon does not detoxify the body. It stores and eliminates waste. True detoxification is performed continuously by the liver and kidneys, regardless of what is applied to the skin. Confusing elimination with detoxification creates expectations biology cannot meet. There is currently no strong evidence showing that castor oil directly increases melatonin production or directly enhances vagal tone. Claims that it biochemically forces the body into deep sleep go beyond what controlled data can support. That absence of evidence matters, especially in an area as sensitive as sleep physiology. What science does allow is a more indirect explanation. Gentle tactile stimulation, warmth applied to the body, and the repetition of a calming bedtime ritual are all known to reduce sympathetic nervous system activity. When the body shifts away from alertness and threat response, sleep becomes more likely, not because chemistry has changed dramatically, but because neural signaling has softened. In this context, the behavioral framework surrounding castor oil use may play a larger role than the oil itself. The slow application, the quiet environment, and the expectation of rest all contribute to parasympathetic dominance. Science accommodates this interpretation. Marketing rarely does because behavior is harder to sell than substances. Laboratory studies suggest that ricinoleic acid may influence prostaglandin balance under controlled conditions. This has led to widespread speculation about hair regrowth. However, when these findings are tested against real human outcomes, the evidence falls short. There is currently no strong clinical data showing that topical castor oil reverses hair loss in humans. What castor oil can do is far more modest and far more predictable. By improving scalp hydration, it can reduce dryness and flaking. By increasing lubrication along the hair shaft, it can reduce mechanical breakage. And by smoothing the outer cuticle, it can improve the visual appearance of hair, making it look thicker and healthier without changing follicle biology. The same limits apply to scar tissue. Scar remodeling is a slow, structural process, governed by collagen alignment and mechanical forces. Castor oil does not dissolve scar tissue. What it may support is gradual softening through long-term hydration and repeated mechanical massage, which can improve flexibility and appearance over time. Understanding these limits does not diminish castor oil's value. It defines it and protects biology from exaggerated expectations. This is the point where scientific caution becomes essential. Not all castor oil is chemically equivalent, and how it is produced matters as much as how it is used. Some commercial castor oils are extracted using hexane, a petroleum-derived solvent chosen for efficiency, not biological compatibility. While residual hexane exposure through intact skin is generally low, it is not zero, and repeated exposure shifts the discussion from safety assumptions to chemical risk management. There is also a second, less discussed issue. Ricinoleic acid is an unusually effective penetrant. That same property, which allows it to interact with biological tissues, also allows it to extract compounds from its container. When stored in plastic, castor oil can leach additives, such as plasticizers, into the oil itself, altering its chemical profile before it ever touches the skin. Choosing cold-pressed, hexane-free oil stored in glass does not guarantee benefit. It simply reduces unnecessary exposure variables. This is not about fear, detox narratives, or purity myths. It is about chemical compatibility, minimizing inputs that biology never needed in the first place. Castor oil does not detoxify the human body. That function is already performed continuously and efficiently by the liver and the kidneys. No oil applied to the skin can replace or amplify those systems in any meaningful way. Framing castor oil as a detox agent misunderstands basic human physiology and distracts from what it actually does. What castor oil can do is far more limited and far more realistic. It can improve skin barrier function by reducing water loss and stabilizing surface lipids. It can provide mild anti-inflammatory signaling in localized tissues, not by suppressing inflammation aggressively, but by subtly modulating chemical messengers involved in irritation. It can support lubrication of tissues, reducing friction and dryness that contribute to discomfort. And it can serve as a low-risk adjunct within personal care routines when used appropriately and with realistic expectations. None of these effects require belief in miracles. They require understanding of scale, mechanism, and limitation. Science does not need exaggerated promises to be useful. It needs accuracy and the discipline to stop where evidence ends. Health rarely comes from adding more substances to the body. More often, it comes from understanding what the body already does, quietly, continuously, and without our awareness, and learning when not to interfere with those systems. The human body is not passive. It is active, adaptive, and constantly working to maintain balance long before we apply anything to the skin or swallow anything from a bottle. Science, at its best, does not sell solutions. It clarifies limits. It shows where intervention may help, where it does nothing, and where restraint is the wiser choice. When we separate biological evidence from wellness mythology, we gain something more valuable than promises: understanding. If this breakdown helped you see castor oil or any widely promoted remedy more clearly, explore our other episodes. Each one is designed to slow the conversation down, replace exaggeration with mechanism, and return health discussions to evidence. This is Pure Science Explained.